Black Plague, 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 Black Plague. All right. Peace. Peace. This your boy Big Bruh. I'm back today. We're going to be discussing very briefly, short video about the reason why I named this channel The Black Plague. Of course, like I said several times, it's a play on words, but in my opinion, it's a fitting play on words. It's appropriate. We're going to be discussing the Black Plague, just one or two paragraphs, not a lot. Just so y'all get a, kind of a background of what it was like back in the 1300s. No vaccines, none of that stuff was going on back then. And you can see how a pandemic is spread so fast and kills so many people. And the disease is still here, but it kills significantly less people now than it did then. So, let's get started. Okay, Black Death, aka Black Plague, pestilence, great mortality, or the bubonic plague. I'm sure. Hold on, let me see if I can make this bigger. Yeah. So you guys can see. So, the Black Plague. There's a bubonic plague pandemic occurring in Afro-Eurasia from 1346 to 1353, 7 years. Keep that in mind, for 8 years. It is the most fatal pandemic recorded in human history, causing the death of 75 to 200 million people in Eurasia and North Africa. That's Eurasia. That's North Africa. Peaking in New York and peaking in Europe, from 1347 to 1351. Bubonic plague is caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, but it may also cause septicemic or pneumonic plagues. The Black Death was the beginning of the second plague pandemic. The plague created religious, social, and economic upheavals and profound effects on the course of European history. Let me say it again. The plague created religious, social, and economic upheavals with profound effects on the course of European history. The origin of Black Death, aka the Black Plague, is disputed, just like right now. The origin of coronavirus, COVID-2, SARS-2 rather, is disputed in some circles. The pandemic originated either in Central Asia or East Asia, but its first definitive appearance was in Crimea in 1347. From Crimea, it was most likely carried by fleas living on the black rats that traveled from the Genoese slave ships spreading through the Mediterranean basin and reaching Africa, Western Asia, and the rest of Europe via Constantinople, Sicily, and the Italian peninsula. There is evidence that once it came ashore, the Black Death was in large part spread by fleas, which caused pneumonic plague and the person-to-person contact via aerosols, which pneumonic plague enables. Thus explain the fast inland spread of the epidemic, which was faster than would be expected if the primary vector was rat fleas causing bubonic plague. I'll read this last paragraph. Just give you kind of a scope of what happened. The Black Death was the second great natural disaster to strike Europe during the late Middle Ages. The first one being the Great Famine of 1315 to 17. And it's estimated to have killed 30 to 60% of the European population. The plague may have reduced the world population from 475 million people to 350 million to 375 million in the 14th century. There were further outbreaks throughout the late Middle Ages, and with other contributing factors, the European population did not regain this level in 1300 until 1500. So, long story short, I'm looking at this plague that I feel that we're going through. In the form of young Black people killing each other. When you look at the Chicago, Detroit, blah, 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 you add all those numbers up, you'll see how many people have been shot and killed, let's just say over the last 50 years. Black people killing Black people, that's a current affair. That's not something that we have us in America. That's not something we have a history of. You can't go back to slavery. You can't go back to pre civil rights movement and find this sort of violence. You can't. This is a modern occurrence. This is a modern phenomenon. This is brand new. In my opinion, I think it started in the 80s. Not started, but kind of began this incline in the 80s. Of course, with crack and all the other stuff being introduced. But I would say, yeah, between late 70s, 80s, that's when this plague started, and it's even worse today. It's even worse. Is it going to wipe out 75 to 200 million people? I doubt it. Is it going to wipe out 30 to 60% of our population? I doubt it. But does it affect 30 to 60 million people? Yes, it does. That's why I chose to name this channel after that. I'm going to stick with it because I believe it's fitting. Very few, when you look at what ails our community, you got, of course, poverty, but you got cancer, your diabetes, your high blood pressure, abortion, there's a lot of things that play into this Black plague that we're going through. It's a lot of factors. And we'll be covering those. I'm not just going to be covering when black people kill black people with a gun. I'm going to be covering how we as ourselves are killing ourselves with the food we eat, the music we listen to, our lack of economics. The Black Plague is among us, and we have to do whatever it takes to knock out some of these factors. We got to start addressing them. We have to. We have to. So that's what this challenge is for. To look at have a realistic approach at what's going on in our communities. And I don't want to give too many opinions on how to stop it or prevent it. I want you all to do that for the most part. But as far as us killing each other, yeah, conflict resolution. Number one. Number two, fathers in the home. I just have a hard time believing that the direct correlation between black bastard children and crime being directly proportionate to each other. I don't believe that's a coincidence. And yes, we will be covering those statistics. I got to get caught up with the local news here in Atlanta. And if you all have some news that you want to share in your local areas, please share them. Send it to me either in the chat, but preferably I would love for you to send it to my email, blackplaguechannel@gmail.com. Anything you want to talk about, send it to me. And in some cases, I'm going to be opening up the panel for discussion one-on-one with you all. But for the deep conversations, we're going to have those on our Patreon. And what I mean by deep conversations, I mean if somebody wants to come on and kind of share their testimony of their life, or if it's a mother or whatever who's been affected by gun violence, father, any black fathers that want to get in contact with the kids, to try to stem some of this stuff, some of this stuff going on. That's what we're going to be covering that in our Patreon. And yeah, so I just wanted to do that. This is how I came up with the idea of the Black Plague channel, because I feel like this is our Black Plague. Our Black Plague is multifaceted, no doubt. But the death that accompanying the stuff that the people that we're putting out into this world, the death, the lack of respect for life is something that I've never seen. And I challenge any of you to find pre-civil rights where black people were killing each other by the masses. You won't find it. This is a very modern phenomenon, the last 30, 40 years. But the phenomena is getting worse every year. Homicides are going up every year. We got to chill out, man. We gotta learn how to resolve our conflicts in a peaceful manner. Be able to walk away. Or matter of fact, if you feel in a way, just beat the person up. Just go fight them. Whatever. Beat them up, knock them out, and then move on with your life. Get it off your chest. But you don't have to kill them. You don't have to take that father away from the child. You don't have to do that. So like, share, subscribe. You know, if you got kids, make them sit down and listen to this stuff. It's only between 15 to 20 minutes. And I don't curse ever. Is it kid friendly in that sense? Yes. But the reason why I don't want to make it a kid thing, as far as the characteristics in YouTube, is because this is a deep subject. You know, we're talking about, for the most part, we're talking about us dying. So I don't think that's a kid type of thing. But yeah, this is something that you can share with your kids, and hopefully they'll get the information they need. If you're a child out there, you want to reach out, share your story, or you need some counseling, contact me. blackplaguechannel@gmail.com. I'm trying to help our community any way I can. I'm located in Atlanta, but of course, I don't care where you are. Share your stories, share the news articles, and we'll discuss them on this channel. All right? With that being said, I wish you all peace. Have a great weekend. We'll see you all on tomorrow. Black Plague, Black Plague.